Give me one moment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again. This is the third time we are going live today. I'm hoping that we're going to keep the consistency going even after the hackathon and with more workshops and partnerships with different protocols, companies, AI companies, databases companies, all of the cool stuff. Um, Hi, thank you for being here. I want to go through the presentation I did 3 times today again quickly, and then we start with the presentation and with the workshop and everything. Awesome. Hello, everyone. We can waste a little bit of more time for everyone to join in. I know it's at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, so I really appreciate that you're here. And so, a little bit about what we are doing. Me and Poria, we are both co-founders of Be Loud, a non-for-profit organization that helps startups grow. Startups going from from zero funding the next 10K customers or raising fund. We have an accelerator where we help startups to grow. We have a studio where we help startups to be built. And then we have a community of founders, investors, builders, and creators. We also host workshops such as this and different programs and competitions like a hackathon for all of our community members. We are on the journey to onboard the next generation of builders, creators, and investors to the next imagination age. But what is the imagination age? Well, if you remember the texting, emailing, the age of Facebook, all of that was information age and it's in the past. Right now, we are in the imagination age. The age of AI, Web3, AI, VR, OpenAI, ChatGPT, where we have abundance of access to resources and knowledge that we can literally realize any ideas that we have in mind. So we don't have any excuses. We cannot come up with any excuses. We can literally make it possible. So we were thinking now that it can go from prompt to anything in matters of seconds and minutes. Why not test this and see if you can build a startup in 3 days? So we came up with the idea of Be Loud and Build AI around less than 2 months ago. So we've been working on this to put together people. Currently, right now, we have around 350 people joining us. More, and it's increasing. Unfortunately, we have to close the registration in a couple of hours. So if you haven't signed up, please go ahead and sign up. The whole idea is that we go from idea to MVP to finding users in just 3 days. So the ideas that you can work on can be either in AI or you can leverage AI to build something, which makes it way more broad and you can literally realize anything you have in mind. And follow us on our social media. Again, thank you so much for being here. Jennifer, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bahar, for the overview. And I suggest everyone to definitely sign up for the hackathon as ICP Hub Canada will be they will give out a prize. So definitely check it out for sure. And then with that, today we'll go over how to build decentralized, how to build AI using, let me just, how to use ICP to build AI dApps. Let me just present real quick. Yeah, just give me one moment while I
No problem.
bring bring it up. For some reason, it's no longer showing. But can you see the slides now?
Uh, no. Oh, yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. I can see them as well. So, hello everyone. I'm Jennifer. I'm a developer relations engineer at Dfinity. Dfinity is a major contributor to the Internet Computer, or ICP. You can follow me at my handle at jkim_tran on Twitter, which this should be live streamed on there as well. And feel free to also add me on LinkedIn to continue the conversation after the workshop. So for the workshop, we'll talk about like what is ICP, why use AI and ICP. We'll go through like 3 examples of AI projects that are built on ICP. And also we will just go through a high level of an image classification example so you get you guys familiar with how to build an AI project on ICP. I know during our last workshop, there was a lot of interest around what are the products that you can build, AI products that you can build using blockchain, and also like how like blockchain is actually very valuable for AI. So we'll touch on that a lot more. So for those who are not familiar with the Internet Computer, so Internet Computer or ICP is a crypto cloud, and what that actually means is ICP itself is a blockchain, and it's also a cloud. In this case, it's a decentralized cloud that is kind of almost a competitor to AWS, Google Cloud, all these other cloud infrastructure, and talk a little bit more about each of those components. So ICP is a blockchain. So ICP itself is a layer 1 blockchain. A lot of developers might know Ethereum or Solana or Near. These are examples of layer 1 blockchains. And ICP itself is a layer 1 blockchain. But what's really unique about ICP is that you can also use other chains on ICP. We have a feature called Chain Fusion, where you can actually connect to other blockchains directly in an ICP canister smart contract. So, for example, when you create code on ICP, or if you create a smart contract on ICP, you can not only talk to ICP as like its own layer 1 blockchain, but you can also use Bitcoin, EVM, and we are actually now working on a Solana and Ordinals integration directly in these smart contracts. So an ICP canister smart contract can right now call and connect to Bitcoin and EVM. Like they can like grab data from those chains, as well as within ICP canister smart contract, you can actually create a public key or a wallet address on those chains and be able to sign for it. So some of the use cases that we've seen are we are able to amplify multi-chain dApps. Like, so for example, let's just say like you want to create a wallet that integrates like ICP, Avalanche, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. You can create like this one ICP canister smart contract and then create a ICP like principal or like wallet address, as well as a wallet address on EVM and Bitcoin, and then like you'll be able like in that wall that can like that smart contract can actually sign for those transactions. So like that's an example of what some developers might think of almost like an account abstraction wallet. So that's like one use case of what you can actually use, what like, one use case of what you can actually build an ICP using Chain Fusion. And ICP itself is also a cloud. And what I mean by that is ICP canister smart contracts are very, very powerful. And how they're super powerful is like they actually have just like a lot more data. Like they can actually store a lot more data than other smart contracts on other chains. So for example, you can actually store like 4 gigs of heap memory. This is like the memory where you can kind of just, this is like the dynamic memory, like you can change up. And then there's also like 400 gigs of stable storage. This is like the long-term storage. So like you can do a lot of data storage and computation within and other smart contracts. I think other smart contracts and other chains, I believe the number was about like 4 megabytes of data, which like compared to gigabytes, like very, very, very small, right? So you can't really do much computation like on chain. Like a lot of other like a lot of other types of smart contracts, like you would use a smart contract for something, and then you might need to use like another like Web 2 or traditional service in order to do other things like on your application. But ICP acts as a cloud because the value is a ICP canister smart contract. You can actually deploy like a full stack application. You can have like a canister smart contract that can have a front end, and then another canister smart contract that can have a full back end. And developers really love ICP because that way they can actually build truly decentralized applications. They don't need to fragment parts of their application on different technologies. They can just use ICP for what you would think of for the main like smart contract features, like such as like creating tokens or NFTs. But also you can use that smart contract as well to deploy like a front end, or like for example deploy like a full back end. And yeah, so you don't need to have fragments of your application on different services, or especially you don't need to rely on more traditional Web 2 services. You can just use like and build actually a fully decentralized application directly on chain on the blockchain using ICP. And with AI, like AI and blockchain are a really good combination for each other for the following reasons. And we actually seen a lot of teams on ICP actually utilize ICP for these reasons. So first is the transparency. Blockchain in general should be like there are baked in transparent factors that are part of it. And so, like for example, like one of the use cases that we've seen is uh, AI projects really want their community involved in the development process. So that way, like AI products can make sure that their product is a public good, and that many people in the community are actually contributing to the product. And you know, it's not restricted by censorship or by a central entity that will make certain bad decisions for that AI product. So I'll talk about these 2 examples later in the presentation. But Mod Club and Elena are decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs. They are practically organizations that anyone can join and contribute to the development of their products. So yeah, any like blockchain for good products, might be interested in becoming DAOs. The other aspect is just overall product ownership. So I mentioned because you can actually deploy like a full stack application on like ICP, you don't have to be afraid of that application ever being taken down, because like if one node on the blockchain is like isn't functioning, like there's other nodes that will still have a copy of the application. So that really helps with like product ownership, because like no one can shut down your application for like no reason. This is actually a reason that some developers have mentioned, because uh, there are cloud providers out there that are also building products on AI. They might have this ability to then shut down like certain products that they find are competitors to their products. So in this case, like at least for AI, I think that a lot of AI projects just want to make sure that they actually can own their product and nothing will actually happen to their application. And so that's why they're looking for a decentralized cloud, for example, like ICP, to be able to actually build their application on. And the next is privacy. So a lot of users, so you might have a lot of users actually interacting with your application. And so therefore, like they can, so when you are like signing in, for example, to OpenAI, you need to give out your email, to or and also your phone number to access the application, and that has some privacy concerns because maybe they can map like your prompts to yourself. In this case, ideally, like if you log in with like a blockchain wallet, right, it's technically anonymous. So it protects the user.
That's great. We have a question. Can we host AI models on ICP?
Yeah, so the training of AI models is still you can't like like train an AI model on ICP at the moment due to technical limitations. But like you can actually maybe host like other components of the AI. And then I'll also mention as well, you can necessarily right now you can host the AI model maybe externally in a Web2 or traditional service. But we have a feature called HTTPS out calls where you can actually call an API directly in ICP canister smart contract. So what you can do is you can still have the model like on a traditional service, but call the API of the model within ICP canister smart contract. But we are doing more research in terms of learning more like what are some technical capabilities we need to enhance on ICP in order to enable the training of AI models directly on chain. And then I'll also talk about that, and like I'll also talk about like what are some of the benefits of ICP right now that actually really makes us kind of ahead of that research.
Awesome, thank you. We have another question. Is chain fusion a technology that acts as a bridge between ICP blockchain and other blockchains?
Yeah, so chain fusion, I wouldn't necessarily call it like necessarily just only a bridge, because when I think of a bridge, it's like I think about like trading different tokens. Practically how it works is for at least for like how it works is because ICP canister smart contracts can call an API on a like can call an API. What that means is that they can actually call like an RPC or an API that connects to another blockchain. So in this case, like it could call like Bitcoin, it could call like a Bitcoin or like an Ethereum RPC, and then able to connect to that blockchain that same way. So I know that a lot of developers right now are using like RPCs, so such as Alchemy or Morales directly in their applications. You actually can do that with ICP as well. At least that's a component for like grabbing the data from the blockchains. For actually, creating the wallet addresses, like creating like the wallet addresses, and like the ability to sign, we actually integrated this technology called Threshold ECDSA within the nodes of the blockchain, that so that they can issue like they can actually issue like a wallet address, and different nodes can sign different parts of the signature. So that component as well is integrated into the protocol. So to answer the question, it's it's not like a bridge it's not like necessarily a DeFi bridge, but like one that use cases is yeah, so one of the use cases is you could utilize you can actually build you can technically build like a bridge per se, like not a bridge in traditional senses, but you could, for example, do like a cross chain swap using ICP.
So they're asking, is it more like an Oracle interacting with external data?
I would say like chain fusion is probably is like more as like more than that. I would say like chain fusion, like you can connect with Bitcoin and Ethereum data, but also like in the protocol itself, it actually can generate like like a wallet address for each like for each canister, but it has components being able to call. I mean, ICP has like this component where they can call external data.
Awesome. We have actually another question, and then maybe we can continue. They're asking if you're hosting the A model in AWS, for example, then why do we want to call the API in ICP?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit more about that. I could also talk more about that on in other slides as well, because I think that there might be other areas where you might want to utilize like the blockchain, for example, for incentivization, or for tracking and tracing. Like for example, like one example that I'll have is like there is a team that's building an AI chatbot where they are training data like off chain, but every single time the bot is using a specific data that was used to train that bot, they actually are keeping track of every single time that data is being used. And one of the use cases is, in theory, they could now give each creator of that data a token. So that's also just like one way to like increase the transparency and of like AI. And also in the future, we do plan to enable actually running at a model like on chain. There is research on that. So long term, I think it's something that you will be able to do. And unfortunately, like maybe in the next couple of months, in the next hackathon, I'll be able to tell you, yeah, you can build it directly on ICP.
But even that what you mentioned is really good, especially the transparency part, because if you know, a lot of AI models, a lot of big companies started using artists data without their consent, without anyone's knowledge, and it's been used over and over again, and no one is being the artists themselves, they're, it's not the track of it, and they're not being monetized for their data. But a solution like this can actually be really helpful. That it's okay. You can use an artist's art to create something, but at least it's good to acknowledge that and also monetize, and artists can monetize their data. So this is actually an idea that someone can work on during the hackathon, for an AI image generator, probably with consensual data, and with that's more ethical and more transparent. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people, a lot of artists who would love to collaborate with it and have their data on it and be able to monetize it and help with everyone to use AI in ethical way.
Mhm. Exactly. Like I really love your use case there, Bahar, because like what we've heard from creators is that they're okay with giving their content, their creations to train like a model, but they're losing out on, and they're also fine with um, like non-artists like using like a model like Midjourney to create images and like not like utilize and like not like maybe hire them, but they're losing so much revenue just because like they are like these models are using their data, right? I think what other use case we talked about once is, for example, like Stack Overflow is losing so much money on developers instead of like asking questions like on a forum on their forum. They're actually just asking like ChatGPT, but ChatGPT might have been trained on a lot of the questions that were answered on Stack Overflow. And Stack Overflow right now is like I think that they're losing like millions of dollars just by not being able to monetize on that monetize on potentially these chatbots using their data.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great example. Yeah, these are a lot of cool ideas that you can definitely work on, integrate AI and ICP at the same time, and make ethical AI, in a sense.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the use case. And then again, guys, thank you for the questions as well. I'm sure like if you guys have more questions, now feel free to continue. And of course, like we can also, yeah, answer more questions during the hackathon as well. And yeah, I think we also like went kind of high overview on like why use ICP for AI. But yeah, I think that one, like just to reiterate again, so ICP smart contracts, are still, very powerful. DAI in some ways, is possible. So ICP smart contracts, they do allow for 4 gigs of heap memory. So you can't train like very big LLMs on ICP, but there might be some smaller machine learning algorithms that you can actually use on ICP. I think one of them, for example, is Motoko Learn. There's also another example. I'll share a link of that towards the end where you can actually uh load like yeah like you can actually I can like load like an algorithm, so like, there is like you can do still very smaller things. You can still do inference, for example, because like that's is enough to kind of to do inference. And we are I think that ICP is in a great position to do this more of this DAI research because we are more efficient to due to WASM support, and we are doing a lot of optimizations to the protocol, such as like deterministic time slicing, for example, where you can load up millions and millions of instructions at the same time. So yeah, and also one other research that we're thinking of is also like maybe having GPU support for our nodes. So I think that we are in a great position to potentially have like more DAI on chain. And like we mentioned, like more of your application can be decentralized. We know it's not just the AI, but a lot of our teams at this hackathon, will have some sort of like website or some sort of like back end service in addition to the AI. And so like more your application can be decentralized. So even if you're working with a LLM that is like very powerful and maybe you can't train that on ICP quite yet, but what you can do is you can still have some like your like for example your front end website or some other back end that in traditionally like you would have used like another service still on chain. Like one example is like being able to like track the amount of times like like a piece of data is being used in a model. Yeah, like that could be like you can actually store like a heap map of like the like or like it's like a database of the data and like how many times like it has been used in a response, that you can already do on ICP. And as I mentioned, we are looking into other developments. So we partnered up with Singularity Net to conduct more research on decentralized AI capabilities. So having GPUs as nodes on the blockchain is one. So being able to give our developers access to GPUs, which is like that, the infrastructure like that really need to build AI. And this is more optimization of the protocol overall. And next, we'll just go through examples of like 3 examples that teams on ICP have actually built out. So first one is Elena at elena.ai. So they actually allow users to create an AI companion. And one of the examples that they have done is that they actually have created a customer service chatbot for a crypto exchange. So how they do it is, they take all of the customer service docs from this crypto exchange. They're able to train a model. They train a model off chain, but how they actually use ICP. a couple of things. So first, the front end itself, so the chatbot that you actually interact with, is built, I believe, using like a standard front end framework, maybe React or Vanilla JS, and then they deploy that front end directly on ICP. The second thing is they actually also handle user management. So in a ICP backend smart canister smart contract, they actually have like use like they actually per AI companion there are user management that like they might outline, for example, like only this user with this wallet address or ICP principal can access this bot, or yeah, or be able to train this bot, for example. And the other thing that they'll also add is like metadata on the AI companion. So there might be some things that you might characterize this AI companion. So let's just say like, hey, let's just say like for me, I want a teddy bear AI companion, like a imaginary friend that is like a teddy bear, like a teddy bear, right? Like this is something that hey, like maybe like I don't necessarily. So for that, like maybe like I wanted to have that metadata like is on chain, so like I kind of have that metadata. Also, I believe they also like you have the option to also save the prompts that you use like on chain as well. So let's just say like you had like a really great conversation with BoxyBot here, and you want to save that conversation with BoxyBot because it was just an amazing conversation, you can also do that as well. And there's other things as like, for example, I mentioned like you can track how many times someone has used a bot. Like that's really great for analytics of users, for users, just be able for them to be able to see, okay, like how many times they've seen it. And then again, this is on chain. So you can store this on chain. So in theory, like, like users can actually always have access to this information. It really opens the door to many different use cases where they would just be able to keep their data on chain, their conversations on chain.
Gotcha. Sorry, quick question. You mentioned it can be stored on chain. So just to double check, you can store the message history of the chatbot on chain as well, fully.
So the training of the model will have to be off chain, but like for example, you can store maybe like the message history like on chain. Like yeah, like and then like people can always have access to their chats on chain. And also one thing that might be interesting too as a use case is you might be able to then maybe use like maybe like people would have like very similar like questions, and then maybe like you can just load up like a previous question, previous answer to a previous question instead of like calling the bot again. Like that's also a potential use case, like when they like almost like a caching of the bot, like that's also a possibility as well.
Gotcha. And you also mentioned the analytics. Does that is that like cookies? I know because Google Analytics does that, but how does it work with ICP?
Mhm. Yeah, so in with LNS case, I believe what they do is they track just how they track pretty much like how many times someone uses like a bot or an AI companion that like someone has created. In this case, what they'll do is you can sign in using like your like ICP like wallet, and there's an ICP like wallet address or principal, and then maybe they can on the front end they can track like how many times that principal um, has used the bot. So it wouldn't necessarily be like a browser based cookie, but it's more so just kind of just like tracking user actions like on the application.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. Sarang asked the question. I'm not sure if you got to it. So we can use ICP for small process and data storage like MongoDB.
Mhm. Yeah, so you actually can actually use ICP very like you can actually use for like data storage up to for like I think like 400 gigs of like stable memory. So actually there have been teams that have migrated from like a Postgres database to like an ICP backend. Like we have, for example, there is a like CanDB as an option for database on ICP. But if you can also just you can also create like a list of items on like a ICP like backend canister without needing to like create like your own database as well. So there's many ways in order to use that data storage. There are built-in, like there are just like the kind of the built-in feature, but also you can use there's other tools that exist out there that might feel like more like a database.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. So you could, if you wanted to, like link it to MongoDB, Couchbase, Supabase, all those different database tools out there as well.
Yeah. So like if you want to use if you want to migrate away from MongoDB and use ICP, you can use ICP as that kind of like that database layer. So that could be on chain, like it could be like on chain. And you can also make it private. One note that I haven't talked about is like you can make things on chain, but you can also make things private. Like you can have secrets on the blockchain where you can say only, hey, only this wallet address can have access to this data. As a feature we call it vet keys. So that also is a good use case for anyone who has some data that is like a little bit more private. So you can use ICP as kind of the database itself. That is probably like the most like people have used ICP as a database. If you really do need to use like a certain like there are use case where like you could still call like an API within ICP canister smart contracts. Let's just say like you do have data somewhere else that you just still want to keep. You can you can call an API directly in ICP canister smart contract and still get access to that data.
Gotcha. And sorry, one more question before I let you move on. Can you send curl requests as well? So like HTTP post and get requests to the canister contracts. Is that possible?
Yes, you can. So we have a command line tool called dFX, where you can run these command line tools, as well as we also have different agents where you can connect, like different agents, where you can actually connect to the ICP blockchain and call different canisters. So yeah, we do have a command line interface. Where you can just call different smart contracts.
Perfect. And last question. So Sarank is saying this seems interesting so that we can store data, but if we store emails and passwords, will this be safe?
Yeah, so there is a feature on ICP called vet keys. So vet keys allows you to store secrets like on chain. So what you could do, and when you set up a vet key on ICP, is you can say, okay, only these ICP wallet addresses will have access to this data when I load it up on chain. And so one example of a product that has been built out is someone actually create an application where you can save like your passwords, and like your crypto mnemonics on like a dApp. And then he was using vet keys to practically say, okay, like for all of this data that I want to store on chain, okay, the user is the user who created this is the only one that can have access to this data
Interesting.
stored on chain.
Yeah, because that was also my question, and I feel like Sarank is wants to go for the gold prize, and with all the questions they're asking. That was my question too. If you can store emails and passwords, and if it's on chain on the blockchain, everyone could see it. But as you said, you could set up these like permissions through the dApp so that only that person could access it, which makes it really safe.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's quite interesting because there's this component of like secrets on chain that like you can have this on chain, you can have it forever, right? But then it's a secret for yourself. So like you can really unlock a lot of use cases of things like, hey, you might want to keep forever, but you don't necessarily want to share, whether it's like a document. Yeah, like a lot of the use cases in the legal world, I can think of, even like the medical world. So yeah, like that really unlocks like a lot of interesting things. And now that you mention it, like there might be someone might think of this, there might be a possibility of maybe creating more of a private AI where in this case, like maybe you create some sort of you could connect some sort of model, but like maybe yeah, like maybe let's say like, hey, like I want to save a conversation that I have with a bot, but maybe just for myself to reference and not anyone else. That might be interesting as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, one thing that's I feel like this discussion is taking a bit of a turn, but I do want you to continue your slides. One thing I do love to see is a medical chatbot that can hold your private data and like store it in ICP. That's like something quite useful, super needed, especially here in Canada, and I feel like the whole world with the whole medical systems being broken like other systems. But it'll be super useful to get something like that as well.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. I mean, that seems like a very like a use case that yeah, like this definitely needs like more privacy.
Perfect. Yeah, please continue ahead. If there was any other questions, Sarang mentioned, yeah, password prediction AI model. Yeah, that could work. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go to the next the next example. So we have Mod Club. It is an AI powered user verification and content moderation platform, and they actually created this demo, which I'll go through. It's a rating system to see how abusive a phrase is. And how do they actually use ICP? So this front end demo that you'll see as actually was actually built on ICP, and they actually do use like the GPT-2 tokenizer within their backend contract, within their backend smart contract. I think it's like kind of small enough that you can actually run this model in an ICP canister smart contract. So actually, let's maybe just take a quick look into using this and then see how it looks like. So just
For sure.
one more.
So sorry, just to make sure this mod club, what they do is that you can put in a text and then it will tell you how abusive the phrase is, and it will like compare that to a base model and give it a rating.
Yeah, it will give it a rating. So I'll share my screen here. Let's see here. Like for example, here, do you see the redactor version
I can
one?
add it now. Sorry, I do have to give a shout out to Lorenzo. I think he's joining us from the UK. My guess is it's probably like past midnight. So thank you so much for tuning in, Lorenzo.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, it's like yeah, it's like very late. Yeah, it's really awesome for you to connect with us and learn about ICP. Really appreciate it. But here, yeah, for example, let's just say like here, I say, hello, I'm Jennifer. That should not be, abusive. So it should then give me a score here of -4. But so it seems like, no, I'm really nice. Let's just say something like, something more, let's say like, I do not like this person. That's a little bit more abusive. So let's just say, hope like the score as you see is a little bit higher. Yeah, so it's like a 1.6. And then anyone has, I don't think we should say anything really bad, but let's say like we could probably say the word hate, right? We can say that, right?
Yeah, hate is okay. That will pass the legal aspect. Yeah.
Okay, and then I think, uh, oh wow, yeah, so it's a little bit higher now. Yeah, like the rating is a little bit higher, and you can, on your own terms, then you can maybe like do more vulgar things. I'm not going to do it on the live stream, but yeah, you can probably test with other words. So this is an example of actually they built this completely on ICP, and what's really valuable for them in this case is like what they find super valuable is content moderation needs to be transparent, and like there also has to like content moderation has been very controversial because there has been very specific um, people who like there's probably like applications, right? That there isn't really much transparency in terms of how they handle content moderation. In terms of algorithms, we can say, there's certain applications out there that maybe you have gotten your posts removed or been blocked, just without really any explanation. There's a lot of creators that have talked about these different platforms, and what's for them, like what's really important for Mod Club is to have this this on chain is just for other people to be able to contribute to it. So I mentioned earlier in the presentation that Mod Club themselves, they are a DAO, where you can they actually are a DAO. So practically, for their application, whenever they make an update to an application, they actually create a proposal of it. So like actually people can vote, can actually like vote or whether they want to make the update. So I think like one other use case that we can see is maybe people can have a DAO for an AI chatbot. Where let's just say like whenever you make an update to an AI model, you would have to create a proposal where the community would have to actually vote on the proposal and if it actually goes through, if the vote does go through, then the update is made.
Sorry, that's so interesting. So a model I saw, they made an AI influencer, and they would ask the audience to vote what posts get made from that AI influencer or what messages get through. So based on what you said, there could be like a DAO for that chatbot to approve like what messages or posts get created. That'll be quite interesting to see as well.
Exactly. Like that would be, I think that would be, quite interesting. Is like having this, some sort of DAO. And I think for also Mod Club, they gate their DAO using a token. So like you have to have their token in order to vote. So that's kind of where I think also like the blockchain might be interesting as well. So like you can, purchase this token or somehow get this token in order to have access to be part of that DAO and be actually be able to build that product.
Gotcha.
Or make that decision.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it okay if I add that to the idea list that we want to share with people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Yeah, cool. And so this is like an example from Mod Club, and then I will go back to these slides. I'll have to go through the last slide. So definitely take a look into that example. And the next example is datapond.ai by Recheck. It's a platform for really securing and tracking data used by AI. And they do have a demo video. They're not their application is right now in beta, but they did share like a demo video on how it works. So like practically how they use they also train their model like off chain, but how they use ICP is every single time the chatbot like uses a specific data, they would log it into the back end to the Canister smart contract and then keep track of how many times a piece of data is actually being used to generate response in a chatbot. And they haven't implemented yet, but long term, what they want to do is they want to actually give tokens to the creators of like the data or the content that's actually the chatbot is actually using. So practically, like that. Ultimately, I think Bahar, we were talking about how we can how creators can actually monetize their products or monetize their content that's actually being used to train a model. I think this is also a great use case as well. So I can actually just share the demo video and how it looks like, and maybe hopefully that can get some inspiration.
Perfect. Go for it.
Okay, awesome. Let me share this one as well.
So while you're doing that, Lorenzo has a question. Can we host complex backend on the ICP, such as Node.js, Nest.js, Express.js as a backend microservice?
Yes, you actually can. So so let me just share this here. So there is an example. If you look on Azel, like if you type in Azel book ICP, so in our TypeScript SDK, you actually can create like an express service using an using an ICP backend canister smart contract. So yeah, like there's already a built-in example for that.
Perfect.
All right, awesome. In this case, yeah, can you see YouTube here in the Datapod application?
I just put it up on the screen, so it should be visible. And sorry, what is the link to this so people could join if they wanted to do
Yeah,
live
so
coding?
actually, this is a demo video, and yeah, it is. There is the YouTube link. We can share it. I can share it. I think in the comments, or I think also like we can also share it later as well. Like there isn't a coding aspect here. It is more
For
of
sure.
just I'll just walk through kind of how it looks like, and then we can go from there. Yeah, so in this case here with Datapon, this user, so practically this user, they are logging in. In this case, like they do have like a username and password login, but also like ICP has this feature called Internet Identity, where it can actually log in using like a passkey, like using like either a Face ID or a fingerprint. So like a lot of teams really like to have their users sign in with that because it's so much easier to sign in. And in theory, it is like in theory, it is like anonymous as well, because like the application would just know like your ICP principal or wallet address, and each wallet address when you sign in, each domain will be told like a different wallet address. So let's just say like I sign in with one of my credentials. My credential, like the wallet address that datapon.ai will know will be different from the wallet address or the principal that like another website like I don't know beloud.xyz would see, if you integrate internet identity. So there's this anonymous aspect to internet identity as well. And then here they are so a they have a chatbot here where they've trained a model and like so practically here yeah, like you can ask like some sort of question, but I believe towards so what they did show like a little bit quickly is what you could do is that you can actually upload some sort of data. Like let's in this case they were uploading a file of like this a paper on ICP, and let's just say okay like a paper of ICP, like in theory let's pretend that like the person who uploaded it was the creator of it. And then here they're asking, okay, who are the authors of the ICP? Like, who are the authors of the ICP white paper? In this case, like they haven't uploaded the data yet, but okay, like, here's where they upload that article. And it's like thinking that okay, this is the author of the article, and they're uploading it, and in theory like their model will then be able to be able to get responses from this data point. And then see, yeah, this is just like a white paper on ICP. And then also, yeah, there's also like tracing logs. This is also what you can do on ICP. Like so, for every single data point, you see here like you can like just track. Oh, this was uploaded at this time. This was consumed by a chatbot at this time, or this was used, for example, for training for at this time. And then what the example that they have here is now when they ask that question, who are the authors of the ICP white paper? You see their bot will then give an answer. For example, give an answer, and then it will also here. This is where it attaches. Okay, here is the white paper that it used to actually get that information. And I think that's, and then what they'll also show then is if you go back to the data, you actually be able to see like that the bot used that data point to answer this question. And then that's where the use case of like you could trace back to whoever uploaded that data, right? And then yeah, you see here, there's data tracing here. You can actually like go back to the data point and the user, and practically you can give the user tokens. Like the user actually upload that data, assuming that they are the creator of that, like that data point, that content, tokens, because the chatbot did use their content to respond to a user. Yeah, so like that's just like another use case of how you might be able to use ICP is like you'll be able to do this tracing and then maybe issue tokens based on certain like certain rewards. All right, I'll stop screen here and then I will go back to the slides.
Yeah, that was nice. So just to recap, you uploaded those. We can upload those documents to that chatbot interface, and they could run it. And the whole thing, data pond, was unchained on ICP, correct?
The model is not trained on chain, but the uploading of the data and then the chatbot and also the tracing
Embedding.
of every single time like that that paper was being used to for a response did happen on chain on ICP.
Perfect. That's quite interesting. We had Awesome from Nexus GPT show us how to like make these chatbots using no code with AI. There was no blockchain involved, but it'll be interesting to see like how people would tie in these two together. So we'll have some novel use cases.
Yeah, I definitely can see that might be interesting, right? Like going back to our previous conversation, maybe saving the responses, maybe also like tracking what kind of responses, or maybe I know that AI also hallucinates a lot, right? So maybe we can use mod clubs, yeah, like algorithm to maybe just like make sure like the bot isn't like being rude. I don't know, like things like that.
Yeah, I like that. Sorry, if it's okay, we can get like one or two questions because Sarank was asking how can we get access to ICP for data storage. They want to start experimenting with it. I believe Javier mentioned we could get access to some ICP tokens for testing with canisters for the hackathon.
Yeah, so you can actually use ICP directly right now. What I suggest is going to internetcomputer.org/docs. I think that we will share these links with Bilal at the end, and then yeah, they go share it as part of the hackathon. But yeah, you can actually like create a. There are definitely tutorials already where you can create a smart contract that might store some data. It would actually show you maybe to store some yeah, like this some store in maybe stable memory, and then you can actually use it locally, but if you want to deploy onto production or on mainnet, Javier would be allowed you yeah, so I think Poria and Bahar can connect you with, like he actually has some free tokens that you can utilize to then deploy on production if you want to.
Perfect.
But
That's
you could
great.
also do
Yeah.
everything locally. Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. Everything is for free, and those are like the extra perks that you can access. Yes, we'll coordinate with you to share those tokens with you. Jennifer is asking about the hackathon. We'll get to the questions. There's so many challenges. you might face during the hackathon. Some things we have planned for, some things we haven't planned for, and it's happening in three locations simultaneously and virtual. So if something comes up, we do apologize, but it's going to be a fun experience. They're also asking, why is it limited to 400 gigabytes?
Yeah, like I'm not sure like why we chose that number specifically. But like I like so yeah, like there are just certain I think there are certain like limitations. I'm not sure like why we chose that number specifically, but no, we have I think it used to when I first started like a year ago, it was like 200 and then now it's like 400. So we're increasing it, as like we better optimize smart contracts.
And also, what is the processor that it is using on the ICP, assuming for the AI inference and training?
I'm not sure exactly know what Datapon is using for their AI, which they should their model which they're using like off chain. For on chain, though, they are using like an ICP character smart contract and then deploying that to ICP. And how ICP processes that is that we have nodes. On the blockchain that they're able to so what from technical standpoint what it does is that it compiles down to wasm and there's a file that compiles down to wasm and then this this end file is then stored on like an ICP node or on the blockchain itself.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. Yeah, please continue ahead with the presentation.
Mhm. Cool. So awesome. So yeah, like here's are just like maybe some other project like these some project ideas that we did talk about. Yeah, like for example, like an AI bot, like where the ICP cache a smart contract, it's kind of keep tracks each time like it uses like each reference it uses for responses, and then it like sends ICP, every single time the reference is used to that reference author. Another thing is maybe a social media application that can detect like negative language, and then maybe you can maybe track like actually on ICP itself. Maybe you can track the number of infractions per user, and then maybe there can be something that pretty much says like, oh, like after like 4 infractions, like the user is automatically blocked. Or the other thing is maybe you can create like a point system on a social media application so that every single time like someone does something negative on a platform, maybe they can lose karma, or if they do something good, maybe earn karma. I think also we came up with a whole bunch of project ideas like during our conversation, Poria and Bahar. So yeah, I think Poria will add those to the project
Yes.
idea list as well.
Yes, we will. Yeah, and I'm taking a screenshot of this, and I think we do have a copy of this, or I'll get it from you. Yeah, so many exciting things. I feel like if we had a little bit of time, we could actually start making them live. But maybe that's for another session we could set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, if you do have like different project ideas, we do have mentors like on site in Vancouver, and also we'll be online as well. So, feel free. Even if you don't think like ICP, like you think you use ICP, you never know. So, like, definitely just tell us, and then we're more than happy to kind of give you ideas on where you might use ICP. And yeah, we probably can go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, these token based transfer merit identity type of things, it's quite exciting because you can attach your identity to what is happening on social or even in real life. All these ideas that we talk about virtually, they can also be phygital, tied into the real world. So say for example, you're walking onto the street saying hi to someone, you have those AI wearables, and if someone is saying like a swear word, it will blur it. Or I'm thinking more like Black Mirror type of things ideas right now, but you can like integrate these more into the real world as well, the tangible world as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and then like you can then like have like different incentive mechanisms to maybe prevent people from doing that. Like I think like one of the other use cases we might have talked about is like how do you prevent people from just using like AI bots for everything. Maybe there can be algorithm that detect if someone's using an image, like AI generated image, and right, and there's some sort of incentive mechanism to prevent them from using it. Actually, one use case I think that we talked about in our last conversation was let's like I think tracking responses of AI is actually really interesting as well, because you can maybe see if someone is actually using like an AI generated content, like an AI generated image, like practically prevent them from doing that. So, for example, maybe there could be a database of all of like the Midjourney like AI generated images, and like when someone posts an image on Instagram or somewhere, maybe like you can track it back to that database and like give them like a warning or something like for posting that. Or if someone does like post an image that like that isn't in that database, maybe give them an NFT or something like that. Just say like, hey, you actually created something on your own.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, it could be like a Chrome extension that as like you're browsing Instagram, it would tell you like this is AI generated, especially with the Met Gala photos that was coming out. So it's more important to know like what is actually real and what isn't. And yeah, the verification that ties into the image classification example I think you shared. So there are a lot of interesting use cases that can be made using ICP times AI over here.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree as well. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of cool things that developers can build. So, we're hoping to hear a lot of cool ideas from teams. Hopefully, this inspires people to build more. Yes. So yeah, the next portion of it is just kind of showing how ICP works from a coding standpoint. This is a simpler like image classification example. What I'll do is I will be able to just upload a kind of a general image, and then just be able to just have it classify what it actually is. So in this case, this is more like the goal of this is just kind of more to have people be familiar with how ICP canister smart contracts work. So in this image classification example, I've mentioned a couple of times already that you can't train a model on ICP, but you can do inference. So let's just say like you already have a model, but maybe you want to do some inference. So in this case, like this accepts an image as an input from a user, and it runs an image classification inference. And then, so the canister itself, it uses this track Onyx inference engine. So with MobileNet v2-7 model. So for those like who want to actually do like more DAI, actually running some sort of engine on chain, we do know that this actually does work on ICP canister smart contracts. So definitely take a look into this inference engine, like if it is something, DAI is something that you actually want to build. So with that, this is the link here, and this is the QR code. I will share it on a different screen as well. And then you should be able to see like kind of the code, and I'll just run as quickly, you just run through it. So yeah, but this is, and we will share this link after the workshop as well. Cool. And so with that,
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. So Sarank is asking, I thought you were gonna sleep, Sarank, but it's good that you're staying. What if the model inference takes high GPU?
The model inference, yeah, I think you have to try to test that. This inference engine is a little bit smaller. If it takes high GPU, it probably won't work, but maybe you should test it and see if it crashes.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Try to like build and test it to the limits
Mhm.
until it breaks, and then you know what problem you ran into.
Yeah, it's also really good if you are interested in a specific model inference. Definitely let us know, right? Because like I mentioned, we are doing a lot of research on DAI capabilities, actually being able to run these kind of like higher demand toolings on ICP canister smart contracts. So if you found that there was something that didn't work, like we would definitely want to hear about it. So like we can actually have our engineers maybe just keep record of it and then actually try to test it in the future, like once we actually have more capabilities. So that's also really good for the hackathon, as well as like how you create relationships is also like, giving us feedback as well. And like, we'll remember you, and like the moment, like when we do have these technical capabilities, we'll let you know, and we'll also tell you like how we actually were able to, enable this capability.
Yeah, that's something. Right before this workshop, we had Lena from Replit joining us, and they had a member spotlight on their blog, and they also said the same thing as you said, like build relationships. So if they have like they build awesome projects there, and they can possibly get featured. And if that's a possibility with ICP and Dfinity, that'll be great. So if there are great projects made in DAI times ICP, and they can get like a shout out on socials and the blog, it'll be like a big boost to them, because they can be introduced to the whole ecosystem as well, and it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, and so yeah, if you are building something, yeah, we're definitely more than happy to feature you. And also, that leads me, as well as like we are like hiring for an AI lead engineer. So if you are able to figure out like these problems, and or you want to work more closely with DAI, we are hiring like an AI engineer. So that's also a possibility. That's also a possibility as well. So there's a lot of opportunities, for sure.
Exciting. Yeah, please share the job posting link as well. We can send it to the candidates, because yeah, other partners were looking to like hire some amazing folks from the hackathon, and that's the beauty of it, because it's not just random people coming off the street and applying to the job. You know that they're actually capable of building something, and you've seen it, because they've been part of the event.
Mhm. Exactly. So I wouldn't be scared to try out an ICP canister smart contract, because yeah, like the AI engineer that we are hiring, like we want them to like be able to test all these like different toolings and be able to tell us, okay, like this is what we need to optimize in order to run it. So Raj, yeah, I know that if you go on dfinity.org/jobs, I think that there are other roles as well. You just have to take a look at the description. I'm not exactly sure. At least for the AI engineer, we are looking for someone senior, but I think the other roles, I think it's like there might be other levels.
Perfect. Yeah, well, we're super excited to see the image classification example, because I think Lorenzo also wanted to like create some things with it. So we're ready whenever you are.
Mhm. Awesome. So yeah, like we'll go through this image classification example, which does do inference on ICP, and how you actually get to this. I did I did show the link with the QR code. But another way to go is go to internetcomputer.org/docs. And this is our homepage. Like this is where the docs, and this is where you'll be able to, just like have like more resources in how to build an ICP. And then you can like start building. And then in the right hand corner, we do have a section for DAI. In the last workshop, we did share a lot of these links, but if you want to reference them again, yeah, these are other examples of other projects on ICP as well. And yeah, so for this image classification example, what it does is, it takes an image and is actually able to just classify what what is the image of. So yeah, that opens really the door to like many different use cases. Just like being able to classify if maybe something like an image is like malicious or something like that. But in this case, it's like a little bit more simple, where we're just gonna probably just upload maybe like a spaceship or something, and then we're able to see what it tells us, like what exactly it is. So practically, yeah, like I mentioned like how it works, but then maybe we can just go through exactly like what you would need in order to run this example. And we'll share this as well after the workshop. But there's a couple of things that you will need in order to run this, which I might have already installed on my computer. So the first thing is this example is in Rust. So you will need to have Rust installed. But so I mentioned the word WASM a couple of times in the workshop, and what that actually means is any language that is WASM compatible, which is a lot of different languages, you can actually use that to build an ICP. So I think last workshop we asked if someone had Python. You can actually use Python, TypeScript. We actually also have another language called Motoko. So any WASM compilable language you're going to actually use to build an ICP. And then also you would need to install the ICP SDK. There is one question that came up during the workshop is like, do we have a CLI tool to create? And we do have a CLI tool. It's called dFX. This is one of the tools that you will have to actually download in order to run this application. And the next is Git. A lot of developers might already have Git, but it is just kind of a way to get, it's like it will just allow you to be able to, for example, clone like the GitHub link, for example, and then you have to install WASI. As well as a library that can convert WASI on IC. That's like a kind of just a more of technical, but no, WASI is just in, WASI is oftentimes like how does the best way for me? Yeah, WASI itself is like a WebAssembly system interface that is a lot of times is used with AI. So we do have this library where you can interact with WASI on the internet computer. There's a couple of things here that we'll have to do. So first, we do have the example already up and running. So what I'll do here is I do already have this up and running, so I won't have to do a git clone or anything like that. So because I already have the examples, but let's just say you do a git clone. Practically what this is just makes a copy of the just creates a copy of it, and then what you do is you would just go into that folder. So we have a lot of examples you see, but the exact example that we want to go look into is within Rust, the image classification example. So actually, I believe, give me just one moment. You're unable to see the full screen. Okay, great. Now you can actually, now you can actually see, now you can actually see my CL, this command line now.
Sorry, Jennifer, you might have mentioned it, but I forgot, and maybe the participants did too. Rust isn't the only language you can use to build using ICP, because last time I think you mentioned Python. Is that correct? And it's compatible with other languages as well?
Yes. So you're able to practically use a lot of different languages. So you see here, like even on that page, you can click on, you can actually use Rust, you can use Python, TypeScript. We also have Motoko as well. You can use any of these languages. Yep. And there's also a C++.
But yeah, C++, the devil.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that Python is probably the most popular for AI. So definitely let us know what kind of languages that you guys are most interested in. So and then I asked you to you should download this MobileNet. This MobileNet v-7, and then suggest that you also just install the dependencies. I think I've already installed many of these dependencies and add the Rust target here. Again, this is a fully built out, So I'm just going through and then just deploying the application, and then we can go through again. Like once we have the application and demo it, we can then go through kind of the code more granularly. So in this case here, I'll just deploy. So what this dFX deploy does, it actually just deploys locally. You can use, you can just test out things locally. And then if you want to deploy on chain, like when you're finally done, you can do so as well with dFX deploy -- network IC. And you see here, yeah, like it will then return you like a front end and a back end, and then we can see kind of like the folder structure in a little bit. But I did want to just show you the example, just like another showcase on like kind of how you might be able to use AI and ICP. And this itself, the model itself is not trained, but the inference is on ICP. So that might open the door for some of you guys in terms of different use cases. But in this case, what I'll do is like I will then maybe just choose like any image and then just see what it thinks this is. So let's just see if what it thinks this could be. Okay, so like the highest score here, it's a space shuttle. It thinks it might be a missile or a projectile. Yeah, and seems like it's actually like pretty accurate here. And then yeah, so we can go through a little bit deeper into what the code would look like. So I'll open here the examples. Okay, great. So I'll go through the examples and yeah, so you see here, like this is just the examples repo, but then there are different projects within each example. So in this case, I'm going to focus on the image classification. So I think a lot of you kind of were just asked, maybe just thinking, okay, how does this actually look like? How do I actually deploy a front end or back end on ICP? So building a front end is the same as building a front end on any Web2 service. So you would create like for example, maybe like a React app or Vanilla.js app. You can actually then just deploy that directly onto ICP. As you can see here, I think that this is just a simple HTML. I think this might be just a simple HTML file actually. Yeah, you can just like create like a simple front end and deploy that. And a back end. So let me just show you what a backend service would look like. So for example, this is a Rust. This is a Rust file, and this is like the inference. Like this is like the inference code, where you're practically like there's like different like class labels, for example, and we are using that attract once inference library. This is not any different than writing any other Rust code to handle this inference. So in theory, like for example, the Python SDK might be just a little bit different. I would definitely recommend you taking a look at the documentation, but it's just very like there isn't anything like very like ICP specific like code here, like ICP specific code here. You're writing this like a normal like just a normal like Rust file. And then there's like other like things that you'll have to do like in terms of the setup. That's where actually like you will handle an ICP. So here in the dfx.json, this is like the kind of the cream of like where like the ICP deployment is. This is where you actually list out like what are the smart contracts or the ICP canisters smart contracts that you actually want to deploy. So in this case, like I want to have like a back end, and then you would just then say like, hey, this is a backend package, and here are the build scripts. Here's a WASM file, and a lot of these are also auto-generated with you. Like when you do create like a new file, like I do a new file, in the docs there is an example of actually like how you can just create like a starter template. And then here is a front end, for example. And like these should be a lot of them should already be built out when you do use that starter template. So actually like I can actually potentially just show that just real quick. So like if I know that someone was interested in Python. So let's just say like I want to create like a new starter, like it's a new starter project. Let's say dfx Be Loud hackathon. what I can do is actually like easily. So you use dfx new, then the name of the file, and then you can choose what language you want. So it sounds like someone was interested in Python. You can choose Python, and then it'll ask you if you want to have a React or you have like a front end, like some sort of front end website. In this case, yeah, like maybe I would want this like a React application in the front. And then it will ask you if you want to any some other features that are built in. So, for example, I talked about internet identity, which is that authentication framework for ICP. Yeah, and so yeah, I want internet identity. And then I probably don't want Bitcoin. Maybe I want some front end tests. And then yeah, I'll choose those, and then it will just now it will create me just a starter file. And then it should probably just take like a minute here. And then yeah, so I think I should be able to just be able to open this, and then it'll just give me like a nice starter template for me to work with. Yeah, it should give me like a Python script here, and then you can start like, let's say like you wanted to yeah, like you just wanted to just now to start coding in Python like you normally would, and then yeah, like you should be able to. Yeah, so like a lot of these examples are on internetcomputer.org/docs. And also in that repo as examples repo, it has a lot more examples. I think for Python, what I definitely suggest you to look into is this Kybra. If you type in Kybra book, it probably should be the first thing that you see. This Kybra book is actually like a guide on how to actually write Python scripts on ICP and deploy them. Yeah. And I think that's at least for this coding portion. I think that's it. Unless there's something specific that you guys want me to dive into. I think it's kind of more simple because like yeah, I building an ICP is not very much different like building on any like Web2 like any traditional service that you might have experience with. Yeah, and so like I think the deployment process is kind of where there might be some differences. But yeah. If you have any more questions or anything you want to for me to show, like please feel free.
Yeah, I think Lorenzo mentioned that we can get that. Where do we get the examples of these repos? So it's all internetcomputer.org/docs, and it will send you more examples that you can go over.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'll do is I'll send you those links that I mentioned, and then we can share it to the hackathon
Perfect.
attendees. Yeah, and I believe there's not only on internetcomputer.org/docs, but that there should also be when you're on there. Yeah, you should be able to see like this examples.
Perfect. Sounds good. Does anyone else have any questions from Jennifer while we have her here with us? Do you have a testnet or definite chain for us to test on?
Yeah, so right now you can actually test everything just locally. And then also we have a Motoko playground where you can like test like a Motoko smart contract. But also like yeah, we don't necessarily like we don't have like necessarily like a testnet in the same but yeah, you can deploy on mainnet, and it's like quite cheap to still be able to test on mainnet as well. And then also Poria was mentioning, Javier can give out coupons for you guys to use to test things out on mainnet.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you so much, Lorenzo, for staying up with us, and Sarang. Is there something else you'd like to share with us, Jennifer? Any other project idea, tips you have for them as they enter the hackathon, or anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think the same advice as last time. So you guys only have 3 days, which is not a lot, right, to build a product. I definitely suggest in the next like, you have like probably like a day until it actually starts, right? Just like think about your idea, still find teammates that will really help you, get up and running if you already have that ready during the hackathon start time.
Perfect. That's super valuable feedback because time is short under the essence, and you can make amazing projects. Just like don't overthink it. Thank you so much for your help, Jennifer. We'll be looking forward to. I feel like you'll be online on the ICP Discord, and people could like get any support if they want from you. And you mentioned we'll have Javier and I think 2 other folks from ICP on site, so it'll be helpful to if they have any questions around ICP, they could get to it. Thank you so much for taking the time to come, Jennifer. We do love to bring you back for more of these. So if you did like the community and the audience, please do come back and do more of these workshops with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we would love to kind of hear your feedback, and then of course, like we can build out any more workshops or any more tutorials just based on what everyone's interested in.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming, Jennifer. You take care and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much for I'll see you at the hackathon.
Yes, for sure. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.
Bye. Okay, just before we wrap up, we'll share more details about the hackathon coming up real soon. Bear with us. It's happening in 3 locations simultaneously and virtual. So we do have to make sure it's running smoothly as possible and to accommodate for different time zones. So we'll have a virtual kickoff in the morning. We'll send you the details. Don't worry if you haven't received it yet. We'll do a second one so people get an extra notice as well. And you can also get a chance to connect to foreign teams from Vancouver, London, SF, and virtual as well. So you're not limited to your close sphere and you can branch out. Thank you so much for joining the workshop. If there was something else you wanted to see from us, let us know. If you have any questions, join the Discord and we'll be sending you a ton of emails and SMS. Please do check it. And we're super excited to host you. You take care.